The end of Avengers Endgame was bittersweet. On the plus side, Steve Rogers finally got that dance with Peggy Carter after keeping her waiting for quite some time. But on the downside, it looks like he's retired from the Avengers. Making this personnel change bearable is the fact that he handed the shield over to Sam Wilson, who will be the new Captain America. Of course, there's a comic book precedent for this event, but we still have our own thoughts on the matter. Let's talk about all the amazing things we want to see from the new Captain America. Going into Avengers Endgame, we felt extremely confident that our favorite heroes would be able to undo the decimation and save the day. The wait after Infinity War felt like it dragged on forever. But this gave us plenty of time to deal with the fact that although we anticipated some heroes making triumphant returns, we knew we were going to have to say goodbye to others. Now, there are two types of people in the world. People who cried when we lost Tony Stark, and people who cried but lie about it. While it looks like Tony and Natasha are gone for good, we can at least take some comfort in the fact that Steve Rogers is still around, even if he's not going to be tossing a vibranium shield around. We really want to see Steve in a mentor position, teaching Sam the ins and outs of being Captain America. Sure, he knows how to be a superhero, but being an icon like Cap is next level. Although we admit part of this is our reluctance to say a final goodbye to Steve, we also enjoy seeing him interact with Sam. Watching the relationship between a superhero mentor and their protege can be a beautiful thing. And now that Tony isn't around to teach Peter Parker anymore, this could help fill the void. When Steve Rogers first joined the Avengers, he got into a little bit of a power struggle with Tony. But there is no denying that Steve is a great leader and a talented tactician, especially since he seemed to do pretty well for himself between Captain America Civil War and Avengers Infinity War. If he's going to be training up Sam Wilson to be the best he can be, we're hoping that curriculum also covers leadership skills. It would be awesome to see Sam taking on the reins of the Avengers, especially because the roster is kind of grim at the moment. It's clear that the Avengers need to be rebuilt and to have their ranks bolstered. It's a big job, but it could be the ultimate test for Steve Rogers' protege. And in the comic books, Sam has experience acting as a leader, like when he was in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s super agents. They're like regular S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but super. He also stepped up to help lead the Secret Avengers, who are like the Avengers, but okay, you get it. Everyone knows Captain America is a talented hero who excels at saving the day, but he's also so much more than that. The title makes him an icon, and as such, he's held to much higher standards than the average superhero. And it might surprise you to learn that the general public, even the fictional one created by Marvel, is kind of judgmental. We know, it's really surprising. The fact of the matter is that people don't really like change. Everyone loved the blonde-haired, blue-eyed super soldier serum-enhanced Steve Rogers. Not only is he going to be replaced by someone completely different, but after the blip, the MCU has already experienced a lot of upheaval. Honestly, it would actually be pretty unbelievable if everyone just shrugged and accepted Sam as the new Cap without any pushback. As much as we hate to wish difficulties on our close personal friend Sam, we have to admit we want to see him cope with being rejected by the very people he's supposed to save. It's also something we've seen in the comics, but it was more like Sam pulling away from the government and people getting upset about it. They even called him Captain Socialism, which we have a feeling probably won't make it into a Disney movie. Sam is definitely going to have some big superhero shoes to fill when he becomes the new Captain America. While he does have a lot to learn from Steve Rogers, we don't think he has to completely throw out everything he knows about being a superhero. Yes, we want to see him toss that shield around, but we also want to see him flying through the skies like he does as Falcon. Flying is one of the superpowers everyone wants, and we don't want to see Sam grounded anytime soon. In the comic books, Sam doesn't just abandon the skies when he takes on the shield. He does both at once and pelts bad guys from above, which is a pretty solid tactic. Having his own superhero moves would definitely help him stand out from Steve Rogers and establish himself as his own hero. Plus, would he even want to take on the role if it meant giving up his sweet jetpack setup? Being a new hero with a ton of pressure and living in someone else's shadow, or getting to fly? We're both hoping and guessing that's a choice Sam isn't gonna have to make. There are lots of things we love about Steve Rogers, and his friendship with Bucky Barnes is one of them. These two have always been the definition of friendship goals, and they really bonded over saving each other at the risk of great physical harm to themselves over the years. That's just something that brings people together, apparently. While Sam and Bucky are pals, they have a more antagonistic relationship with each other that we really enjoy. And we're gonna make an educated guess that other people do too, since they're getting their own show on Disney+, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, many movie fans were surprised that when it came time to hand over his shield, Steve chose Sam instead of his BFF Bucky. In the comic books, Bucky does take on the mantle of Captain America, but when his past as an assassin comes out, it's kind of a PR nightmare. Even though he's friends with Steve, it might have stung to see him give his shield to someone else, and we have a feeling Sam won't mind teasing Bucky about it. The change in superhero name could also represent a change in the dynamic between these two characters, and we are here for it. As much as we hate to admit it, there are just some things from the comic books that won't ever make it into the MCU. But there is a lot of great material out there, and we definitely have some storylines in mind when it comes to Sam taking on the role of Captain America. One of these is the series Truth, Red, White, and Black, written by Robert Morales and drawn by Kyle Baker. And if you're also eager to see this, you're in good company. Actor Anthony Mackie says this story of Sam Wilson is his favorite, and it goes into the history of the super soldier serum. Truth, Red, White, and Black is about the American government using black soldiers as test subjects to get their super soldier serum just right. Pretty predictably, it does not go well. The only survivor is Isaiah Bradley, whose grandson Elijah Bradley later goes on to become a hero known as the Patriot. He's a founding member of the Young Avengers, so incorporating this storyline into the MCU would be a great way to set the groundwork for this highly anticipated superhero group. Superheroes and the government don't always get along very well. You might know this since there was a pretty popular Marvel movie about it called Captain America Civil War. Yes, the heroes were fighting against each other, but they were also battling the Sokovia Accords and the idea of the government regulating superheroes. It's what took Steve Rogers from an American icon to a maybe war criminal who still managed to produce some dynamite PSAs. Anyway, the comic books take an even deeper dive into the government and its impact on heroes, particularly in regards to Sam Wilson. There's a point where he totally disavows the government and sets off to do his own thing, with diplomatic immunity. This kind of legal immunity could be a good thing, or it could be a bad one by removing accountability on Steve's part. It would open things up to the interesting kinds of moral dilemmas we like hearing about. He already has experience operating outside of the government's control, but that was while he was supposed to be bound by the Sokovia Accords. What would Sam Wilson do if he could do anything? That's a question we'd like to find out the answer to. While we are over the top excited for Marvel's Phase 4, don't think we've forgotten the past movies. We remember them all, even the ones that aren't quite so good. And we definitely remember all the times beloved comic book characters have been teased. This is a way back throwback to The Incredible Hulk, where there was an Easter egg regarding Rick Jones, a character who is BFFs with the Hulk in the comics. But in the MCU, we haven't seen him except for this one Easter egg that's so old it's practically a relic. Rick and Sam also know each other in the comics, and even develop a partnership where Rick operates under the name Whisperer. Of course, we know that Sam and Bucky are all buddied up at the moment, but that doesn't mean that we won't see the Whisperer in the MCU, and that's something we'd love to see. We all know Sam and Bucky are great in battle, but Rick excels in being able to hack into different systems and access sensitive information that could be really useful, especially if Sam does end up going up against the government at some point in time. In the comics, Rick does help Sam combat an enemy organization, and it's none other than S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, we know S.H.I.E.L.D. is kind of disbanded in the MCU, but based on Spider-Man Far From Home, it's clear Nick Fury is involved in something. Something involves Skrulls, but something nonetheless. And this could actually tie into a device from the comics known as the Cosmic Cube, not to be confused with the Tesseract, which is also kind of a cosmic cube, but completely different. They're majorly powerful artifacts, and the Skrulls just so happen to have one, at least in the comics. S.H.I.E.L.D. decided to create their own ultra-powerful cosmic cube, which didn't sit well with Sam, and Whisperer helped him look into the situation. This is definitely something we'd enjoy seeing play out in the MCU, especially since we already saw the Skrulls working with Nick Fury for some reason. This could give Sam an excellent morally dubious entity to fight and justify Rick Jones joining the MCU. And since the Infinity Saga is over, we really need more irresponsibly powerful objects laying around since the Infinity Stones all got destroyed. Earlier, we talked about Sam Wilson leading the Avengers, because there are few things better than a good old-fashioned superhero team-up, especially when you're facing down a powerful enemy. And speaking of villains, we would love to see Sam take on the Chitauri Warbringer. With a name like that, you probably wouldn't be surprised to learn that he is not the warm, fuzzy type. In the comic books, Spider-Man is tasked with taking him down, but that turns out to be a very tall order, so he calls for some backup. Not only does Sam Wilson as Captain America join the fray, but so do a ton of other heroes. There's Thor, Vision, and Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel. We know Kamala is going to be joining the MCU in Phase 4, so this would be a great way to see her working with MCU heroes we already know and love. And Nova is one of those comic book characters it feels like we've been waiting to see in the MCU forever. We admit we're not best at being patient, but come on! Thanos already blew up the Nova Corps, where is he? Having Sam and friends take on Warbringer could help form a new version of the Avengers. We love Sam Wilson, but we have to admit we'd be really excited if he got the whole team together to take on Warbringer. What do you hope Sam Wilson's Captain America will be like? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section, and then click subscribe for more great videos from CBR. Bye for now!